Hey everybody, we are back from Westwoods. I'm not completely unpacked, so I thought I'd throw it together here in the living room. Um, Gotta find my camera and my mic and all those things. But it's Truth Tuesday. There's all kinds of smoke and mirrors going on, and I got in trouble over on Twitter, so I figured maybe I'll try over here to tell some truth. So I'll be right back with my buddies Toshi Sean right after this. Hey Sean, we missed you up in Illinois, but we had a great time. Had a good turnout and lots and lots of fun. So
That was awesome.
hope you had a great weekend. Yeah, that was good stuff. We had a bunch of giveaways and copper, silver, books, shooter headphone things, like electronic headphones, they cancel the sound when it's too loud. Yeah. Lots and lots of good stuff. So
I still have your gun right there to send over to you.
I know. I want to come down and see you though.
Shoot on
And then we can go shooting together. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Did you send that coin out to me yet?
Did I send that coin out to you yet?
From where?
It's probably on my desk.
Okay.
I don't know. He sent one to you and to Johnny. I know.
He was asking
There's
me.
like a little baggie with your name on it and the coin inside, and there's one with Johnny and his name on it. I just haven't mailed it yet. But now that I'm eBaying, I'll be at the post office more
often. Yeah.
Yeah, I had 2 sales happen while I was in Illinois. And so when I got back, it was like, these 2 items sold and you have until this day to ship it. And this is the option that they chose. And I was like, oh God, because I've never done this before.
I'm going to try it. I'm going to start a side hustle this week.
Yeah.
Week.
Uncle Cliff talked about, oh good. Yeah. You're going to write books.
I'm going to write books.
What are your books going to be about?
Well, I don't know. I was thinking erotic fan fiction for, Star Trek or something, but sorry. I could almost do that with a straight face. But that's not a straight face. But no, Amazon you can write a book, have it all like digitally set, and then Amazon will print them for each, so you don't have to have it
like they'll publish it for you?
Yeah, you don't have to have it print a run of like 100 or 500 and then you're stuck with some. Like they literally do it all digitally, and as the orders come in, they print the books and send them out.
That's huge. So my mom wrote books. Actually, there's a couple of them over there. She wrote a children's book. She wrote one called Plucked and Burned, that exposed like the chicken industry and all the corruption in that. And then she wrote another one. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, Mom. Anyway, she's like really great writer, but the publishing industry, like once again, is so corrupt, and all these market makers that get in the way. And if you're not part of it, it goes back to that Gary Gensler video where he's teaching at MIT, and it's like, well, if you give them 30 to 50% of your company, then you might get to play in the game. But if not, then all the little guys get screwed,
there was a like that but then again, they do everything. They do all the work. They have all the costs for the printing and all that, but you get like 25% of what you charge. You can charge whatever you want. You can sell your book for $1.
25% is better than what it used to be. Like in the old days,
royalty. So,
in the old days, you would make $1 a book.
Right, but you would get like a big upfront. Like they would agree to publish it and say we'll pay you $20,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 if you're a big bird, big. And then you get the royalty. Where this is just the royalties, which is not bad. But if you start selling, a lot of these books, like substantial books, then you can also do like monthly planners and stuff like that. But if you write a real book and it starts to sell, you could take that to an actual publisher, and then you could make the deal of like, wow, this is actually selling. It's not like a Kickstarter thing. Stuff on Kickstarter for a movie or something, and then they can take it to a studio and say, hey, we can try to do this on our own. We've already got all these pre-sales. People are all interested in this story, and then that usually is what people use Kickstarter for now, just to get companies to show companies that there is an interest in it. But yeah,
I can't
we need to get
that.
off of this personal crap because there's so much to go over.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was going to show, which it's almost like a distraction because there's so much going on. There's this guy on Wall Street, I can't remember his name even, but he was like talking about how, you know, the SEC should be proud of us that, you know, when there's only 200 shares on the market and we get orders for 1,000, we create those. We create the rest of those shares, and to create that, oh gosh, what did he call it? He called it like infinite liquidity. What does that mean? Like, these people are crazy.
Well,
They're
I mean, see,
criminals.
that's the thing about what craziness is. Just a few years ago, if someone had a beard, a 50-year-old man who looked like a 50-year-old, who looked like a 70-year-old man because they've done some shit, you know, rode hard, put up wet kind of thing, hard life.
Mm-hmm.
If you saw a 50-plus-year-old man on the street with terrible makeup on, lipstick smeared,
With terrible makeup on?
yeah, you know, like,
oh, I see what you're saying.
And
yes.
then in a mini dress, yelling at a lamppost.
People would laugh and point.
They would say, "That man is crazy. We must stay away from him.
There's a mental illness.
That's a dangerous person. They're unstable." Whereas now, especially this month, it's like, "Hey, be proud. You're cool. You know, give them some money." And that's happened slowly. Actually, that's happened very quickly if you really think about it. But that's happened over time. To where crazy's not crazy. Remember, I told you like a while ago, like the trope in every movie I saw growing up, always in the insane asylum, people, it was either, you know, people that thought they were the opposite sex, or people that thought they were Napoleon.
Yeah,
that's what.
Yeah, it was like it was comedy. Yeah, actually, to have that in the movie.
That was the basic.
I mean, trope. This Stoutfire.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and there was outrage about Miss Doubtfire because it was so risque.
What was that old one that Tom Hanks did way back in the day? So that he and his buddy could like live together. What was it called? Bosom Buddies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that they could get like a place to live because it was expensive or something. Yeah. And it was.
Yeah, something like that.
Or Three's Company. I was like a little kid. And
he pretended to be gay, so it was okay for him to live with the girls.
You couldn't just live with two girls. That's, oh my God, no. That's, I forgot. Even though he had his own room, he couldn't be a roommate with two women without being married.
That was what, in the 70s?
That was the 70s. That was like the basis of the show.
That's right. I forgot. Because that Mr. Furley would come in and act like he was real tough and be like, I know you don't know.
Yeah. That it was.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy.
But how that is just the idea of what was insane is now what you identify as, and that's just because you identify as something doesn't mean you're not mentally stable. It literally meant you don't know who you are, and now they're saying now you know who you are. It's like, no, you still don't know who you are. You think you're Napoleon. No, I just identify as Napoleon. Just changing a word. Which it's all Roseanne Barr's fault, but
let's blame her. Let's blame her. So when we were in Illinois, there was all this smoke up there, and they were like blaming the Canadian fires, which we kind of saw that last year or last week. Whatever. We had a big storm come in, cleared it out. Thank goodness we had blue skies again. Well, then. Let's see, the smoke is back apparently. The Weather Channel was talking about this, and let me see if I can share this to show you guys some of the smoke in the Midwest, and they're talking about like, where's it going, what's going on here. Here's
I talked to my stepdad yesterday, I believe, maybe the day before, and he was talking about, he's up in Minnesota, And he was talking about it's pretty bad up there, the smoke.
Yeah, and then right after that, I found this, which was very interesting. This guy's former military.
In California,
I think
we've
this
got
is kind
a
of
bit of an unusual situation. Now, this first portion of the radar cycle, fairly bland and typical, but then you see these bands of very distinct cloud cover moving into the region. That is not rain, that is not snow, believe it or not. Military aircraft flying through the region, dropping chaff, small bits of aluminum, sometimes it's made of plastic, or even metallicized paper products, but it's used as an anti-radar issue, and obviously they're up there practicing. Now, they won't confirm that, but I was in the Marine Corps for many years, and I'll tell you right now, that's what it is. 50 in Medford right now, 48 in Wairika, 42 in California.
I think this is a very big deal. What he said. I always go back to because this was always so profound to me as a child that I grew up and there was no Area 51, and the government has ruined like important people, smart people, scientists who were working towards bettering humanity, ruined their lives, ruined their credibility. By saying that they're crazy, there is no Area 51. When they would come out and say, "No, I was there, I worked there," our government did that, and then all of a sudden they just said, "Okay, yeah, there's Area 51," and everybody was fine with it. No one, there was no upheaval that our government had lied to us, had destroyed people's lives, had done all these terrible things, had killed people, probably, for wanting to talk about it, and nobody seemed to care. Everyone was just like, "Yeah, we knew it," and that has happened over and over again. And I think we're getting
That's where the pride gets in the way. That's
I think we're getting to the point now.
Like, everybody needs to get real humble, real quick.
Like there used to be, I remember watching these 10, 15 years ago. There were just local, city council meetings where like ranchers and farmers had paid out of their own pocket to get like some studies done, and they're like, the rainwater, it has all this aluminum in it. The rainwater has all this stuff in it. And that's why my kids got autism. And that's why this is happening. And they're like, these planes are flying over us and they're dropping aluminum. They're dropping these other things. And those were local city council meetings. It was all dismissed. The government, they were like, no, it's, runoff from, mountains that was from 20 years ago and build up and this and just whatever. It's all BS. And you're getting to the point now where so many people have been involved and have kind of gone through the revolving door of the military that you got this local weather guys like, "Yeah, man, I was, in the military. This is what it is." And then they're not going to confirm it, but that's what it is. Saying it out in the open. So I think we're very close to where we have the Area 51 thing where they say, "Yeah, we've been doing this." And he said it's for anti-radar. But see, that's where if we had a real press, which I'm going to go over on my channel, okay? If we had a real press like we used to, they would say, if we are so worried about radar when we have satellites in orbit and everything else, so that's stupid. But why are we letting Chinese balloons just fly over the United States? Why do we not care about all this other stuff? And we have to put this all out in these areas, which are usually where we get the bulk of our food from. They're just legitimate questions. But I think we're real close to this specific thing with chemtrails and stuff, where the government finally like, "Yeah, we've been doing it," and they'll give us some goofy reason. And I think people won't be outraged. People won't be angry. They'll be lethargic and say, "Yeah, we knew it."
Yeah, I don't know how people are going to respond. I think people are tired of being lied to. Enough is enough was trending yesterday. Because they're seeing this two-tiered government or judicial system and who's being attacked and who's being protected. On Friday, we had the Durham hearing. I was showing everybody the video, which it's really hard to hear. Like we got people here, but then we're trying to do the video here, and the people there can't see what I'm posting on the screen, and so it was kind of difficult to kind of do the show a little bit at a live situation when I don't have like what I'm showing streaming and they can hear too. Anyway, but I hope it played out okay for everybody. But we were showing where Durham and Matt Gaetz were having this exchange. And I reminded everybody that that was all for the public. That was all played out for the public, scripted most likely, because the day before was when Durham had had the private closed door hearings with Congress and had gone through all of the information, and a portion of his report is classified. And they did say that during the testimony. Then he and Gates go back and forth on this thing about, you didn't look into Mueller and you didn't, or is it Brennan? I keep getting this part messed up. I'm sorry. I've got the wrong guy in my head. Anyway, but you were supposed to look into that. That was what you were doing. Specifically, whatever. You're in this. This was a big cover up. Which, anyway. But then he starts going. You know who the Washington Generals are? And he says, and Durham says, yes, I do. And he says, well, you think it's funny when blah, blah, blah. And Durham says, no, I don't think when they're out there, blood, sweat, and tears. And Durham's like, no, I don't think that's funny at all. And then he says, playing against the Harlem Globetrotters. And Durham goes, oh, no, I thought you were talking about someone else. Because Durham thought he was talking about the military industrial complex, Washington Generals, which is what this tape that leaked today leaked. I wish they'd stop even saying that. But that's trying to implicate Trump. But actually, if you go 3D chess, shows what the Washington Generals were doing in saying that, it wasn't Trump going after Iran. It was these Washington Generals, if you look into it. So the truth is coming out. It's just how the truth is coming out.
I think the paperwork.
You have to be listening to the details.
I think the paperwork is a plan to go to war with Iran, because there was okay. So the theory goes that we were going to go Iraq, Afghanistan, and then Iran, and that was the plan.
People.
And Trump was against war. So he has that.
He's the most peaceful president ever.
Right. But that's what's on these documents, is the plans to go to having a war with Iran, which is a big.
Which was Milley, General Milley.
Well, it's just no. They're all puppets, man. Anything now. I have lost so much respect for the military. I used to have so much respect for the military. The military has its own laws. Like, they didn't care. America could go to hell, and you could have as much debauchery as you wanted. They were different people. If you cheated on your wife, you went to jail. If you broke more moral codes, you went to jail. That's what military people did. Honor was like one of the most top tier, most important things to anyone in the military. That's what was drilled into them. And now it's not. They're not.
Well, I think that's not a fair statement to say that blanket about all military. I think there is a military industrial complex that was doing this evil stuff, but I do still believe the good guys are in there and exposing that.
But I think that they have changed the average soldier to where he will follow an illegal order. That's the whole goal, is because these were like, our military was like, amazing, super better. They were better. They joined the military to be part of something bigger and better, to serve. They were better people than the average American. I could say that without reservation, 20 years ago. Now it's a very different thing. I think that the goal is for the military industrial complex to run stuff, but you can't run stuff if you want to give illegal orders, and these honorable people are going to be like, no, I'm not going to do that. I think that's been the goal the whole time, is to break down the moral structure, just like in the civilian world, the family and everything else, to break down the moral structure of the average soldier, to get them to do whatever the military industrial complex wants them to do, so that they can just throw them as cannon fodder and make money.
Yeah, I mean, it's all been, a lot of that has been turned into a money making, and that's why the extortion, and that's why, the little kid trading, all that kind of stuff that we're going to see an end to. Once again, if you haven't got your Sound of Freedom tickets, it's going to be playing all over the U.S. July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You can go to angels.com, I believe it is, or look for Sound of Freedom playing near you. A bunch of people have bought tickets for other people to be able to attend for free. So that was kind of cool. So if you are in need of a ticket, see if you can find a free ticket. Looks like Bud Light fired their marketing directors for destroying their company. So that was good to see some accountability. You know, if their job is to get more sales because they're in marketing, they did a real crappy job. So accountability is good.
But they're hurt for that. They're penalized massively for that. They had their ESG score lowered. So
who cares about their ESG score? That is not going to be around here very soon.
That is the most important thing. That's the whole dynamic has changed. Valuetainment has a great video that they put out explaining it. So, and it's very deep. This is a deep rabbit hole. So, do you know what the ESG score comes from, and who controls it all?
Oh, I'm sure the WEF or some shit like that.
The United Nations. They're the ones that set it.
Yeah, United Nations. There you go. They're the ones. They're all seeing the dollar dying right now. So the Bank of International Settlements coming out with their CBDC. United Nations coming out with theirs, and it has the ESG score.
The United Nations controls the IMF, and they control all that money. But the amount of money that they control is like $60 trillion. That is they had a contract signed. And these companies signed a contract years ago. And the companies that signed the contract have over $60 trillion in asset management. And that's where the investment capital comes from. So Bud Light and the whole idea, this is the thing that people don't understand, the whole idea of capitalism, and you go from customer to company to investor, all that's gone. It's been perverted to a centralized, behind the scenes entity that controls the investment capital. It's not how it's supposed to be. So,
no, it should be free markets, but then
it should be a company who cares about
market makers.
It should be a company who cares most about the consumer, and then the employees, and then the stockholders. It's not like that anymore. I think we need a huge shakeup. I mean, like worldwide shakeup to get back to just the basics of economics and capitalism. Because the way it's been restructured, it's not how it's supposed to be.
No, it's not. Where is it? Maybe I can find it. Probably in my messages. Maybe I should not be showing that. Hold on a sec. I don't know. I'll go on too long. We need to go over to your channel soon. But there was that market maker talking about, well, if we only have 200 shares and there's orders for 1,000, we're going to create more. And that's where the lie and the manipulation is. The retail, investor gets hurt. We the people get hurt, and they just create this fake system instead of it being, a real free market where there's value in something because people buy it, and which causes quality of a product to go up as well.
But isn't it just the natural progression of how we've been doing things? Oh, we have a problem. People need money. Let us print that money and give it to them. There we go. Isn't that what we did a couple years ago? So it's just kind of the natural progression of what banks used to do with when they had to have whatchamacallit.
They're the same person, JB. Sorry.
What is
Go
it?
ahead.
I forgot what it was. Fractional reserve. It's fractional reserve banking, but it's just the fractional reserve stock. It has to be broken. We have to burn it down and start over the way it's supposed to be.
Well, and that's what they're doing by printing it to nothing. It's worth nothing. It will be Zimbabwe dollars, and then we'll choose something else. So, should we? Am I in this? Is this? Are you saying am I in the same spot? I'm just in a different room of my house. If you're asking me, because I got back from Westwoods and I'm.
She's in her
lying
shoe
down.
closet of her mansion.
Oh yeah. See all my shoes on the wall. Oh my gosh. So while I was at Westwoods, I went junking, garage selling, and went to a thrift store and met this
I
really
haven't
cool
heard
lady
anyone say
that
that since my mom.
junking.
Yeah, junking.
Junkin. You have to say it like that. But I've met this really cool lady that she's a foster mom. She also believes in some like spiritual stuff that's kind of a little more open-minded. She's really, really sweet. And she has this little thrift store, and she's like, she had a cleaning business. Well, she had contracts with the military. And so when people would move out of their housing around her area, it was her job to go and clean their house. And she said a lot of them would just leave stuff because they could only take so much, I guess, or the military was moving them, so they would pack whatever they wanted and they just leave the rest.
Yeah.
And so she would take whatever was
People
left.
in cars.
Really?
Yeah,
It was shocking to me.
They
She
would,
was really
there were
nice
cars on the
stuff.
side of the road that said PCS or something, just like with shoe polish on it in the window, and the minutes
What does
just
that
take
mean?
it. Like
Come on.
they were sent. No, my stepdad left my Mercedes Benz in Germany when we came over here.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Like if you're going overseas, I mean, I guess I'm not thinking like
Like you're
I
overseas,
don't
and it's like
travel like
let's say
that.
you go overseas and you have your car, and you have your husband has his car, and he's going to work and everything. If you get a second car, there you can get a cheap one, or I mean you can get a free one if you find them on the side of the road. But then when you come to when you're going to come back, the military only pays for one car, so you're stuck. You have to So people sell their second cars and get like super cheap, or they just leave them on the side of the road if they're pissed at their stepson, and they leave this Mercedes there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to start doing, I think that's going to be, I don't know if I'm going to do it one day a week. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to get my stuff all put together. Some of it I'm keeping because it's so cute and I love it. But some of it I am going to put on my little eBay store and sell because she had like these really cute, I can't remember, it's like George Bertrand or something. They're signed peach plates that were like for candies and nuts and whatever, their collectible stuff. She had a bunch of cool stuff, but she's like, oh no, they left like all this stuff. So her prices were really good. And then we were in there and her air conditioning wasn't working. And I was like sweating profusely and I did not care. I was digging through all this stuff. My husband's like, I will be in the car. I am not staying in here with you. But I could have stayed there a long time. That was fun. But let's jump over to your channel. I want to hear more about what you're talking about with the media and all that kind of stuff. So,
okay, we'll see you all over there.
We'll see you guys over there.
What happens when 90% of the media is controlled or owned by 6 corporations? What happens when those same corporations are operated and controlled by a political ideology? What happens when the news is no longer free from bias? What happens when the news is no longer reliable and independent? What happens when the news is no longer trustworthy? Fact becomes fiction? Fiction becomes fact? When does news become propaganda?